Hello friends, Daniel Vallis here again. We're at our field report. It's such a beautiful evening, I just had to get out here, drag y'all along with me, and we're gonna go walk out to the field here. Beautiful weather tonight. It's crystal clear skies too, and somebody must be burning something nearby because there's a wonderful woodsy smoke campfire smell in the air too. It just makes you want to grab some marshmallows and make some s'mores. But I was just looking out at the horizon today over the field. Right now it's about 8:30 at night, and it's so beautiful because Orion is right above the horizon. It's so clear too. I love it. But I could see Taurus, which means Pleiades is right near it, and you just follow Orion's belt and that just leads you right over to it. But I was reminded that Pleiades is going to be going off the scene soon, because if you'll remember from our last video, the sun is in Aries right now. The ram, it's at the beginning of it, and Pleiades is at the other end of that same constellation. So that means as soon as Aries starts going down below the horizon when the sun sets, Pleiades isn't going to be that much farther behind it. And so you won't be able to view Pleiades for too much longer. And it's going to be setting pretty much in the early part of May, toward the beginning of May. So if you're going to see Pleiades, you better go do it pretty soon over the next few days, because it's not going to be up much longer. As the sun progresses along the line and gets closer and closer to Pleiades, eventually it's going to set the same time the sun sets. But right now it's neat to see it, because as it's setting on the one side, I can look 180 to the other side of the sky where the celestial objects are rising, and Jupiter is now rising up over the treetops, and Spica is right below it right now, just the way it's oriented. So this is amazing too. Jupiter is coming up above the trees about 9 o'clock, sometimes even 8 o'clock, depending on your horizon. But to be able to see in one view Pleiades and the tail end of Aries on one side of the sky, and then on the direct opposite side of the sky is Virgo, where Jupiter is. And then if I look up, right up above me right now is Leo, the lion. And then you just scan down along where the line is in the heavens. You just follow down from Regulus down to about where the sun's setting. That gives you an idea of the ecliptic. And Jupiter's along the ecliptic, so you can mentally visualize this line in a gigantic invisible rainbow, so to speak, in the sky right now, because it's going right overhead. It's just neat to be able to look up and see the whole timeline, just like we have on the timeline, to see when the sun sets. You have Aries over there right near Pleiades, literally the tail end of the lamb disappearing below the sunset right when the sun sets. And then you see the rest of the story all the way to Virgo, all the way on the other side of the sky. And so it's just interesting to think about where the sun is now in Aries and near Pleiades, and then in 5 months it's going to be on the other side of the sky along the line right over in Virgo, right near where Jupiter is. Not quite to that point, but it's just amazing to see, just like on our timeline, that entire stretch along the line all the way up to Virgo, right in the sky all up now. And Leo the lion right up above, and then the lamb right at the horizon where the sun's at, and then Orion nice and bright, big and bold right there on the horizon. A beautiful scene and reminder of just the story of redemption that we've been studying, and the tapestry of redemption and our Redeemer, the bride and the bridegroom, the lamb, the lion. I just want to remind you to go outside and spend some time looking up at the heavens and see what the heavens declare, this incredible story. Be reminded of our beloved, our Redeemer. The Lord is His name. He is the one who created them all, and He wants us to look up at Him. And the more that we do look up and we see these signs in our world, in our real world where we are, when we look up and see that this is happening, it makes it all the more real that our redemption draweth nigh. Okay, Dan here again. It is 2:45 now, and I'm waiting for the computer to finish the video work stuff, so I decided to mosey on out here and walk around while I'm waiting for that and take a few pictures of Virgo and Jupiter, because now how things have progressed along, Virgo is horizontal now instead of vertical, so it's a whole lot better to see, and you can see the whole thing now. And then Leo is just about touching the horizon, so that's amazing to see, and I'm always impressed about how big the lion is, and especially when you connect it to Zavi Java as the rear foot. That's really big. And then got the dipper up there. It's just amazing how the scene changes throughout the night too, and you see the story progress. You see the line move along. At sunset, we had Aries on the horizon, with the tail end sticking up above the horizon, and Pleiades and Taurus above the horizon. But on the other side of the sky, just rising, was Leo, and that was well above the trees. And then you had Virgo just coming up above the trees too, as well, with Jupiter about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it's just interesting here, now almost 3 o'clock in the morning, to see him almost completely moved across the sky now, and Leo's getting ready to dive below the horizon. So it's just neat to see and go out periodically and just get a sense of how the heavens move. And that really gives you a sense for how everything moves in the clockwork precision, and really impresses upon you that all the stars are brought forth in their hosts and number, and the Lord brings them all forth, and He calls them all forth, and He has a name for every single one of them. And I'm reminded of Abraham when God told him to look up to the heavens, about the promise of his seed that he would have, that would be as the stars of the heavens. Of course, he was talking to someone who was familiar with the stars too, and so it was very impressive to him, because he had no doubt studied the stars many times, and had just stayed out in late evenings many times and just comprehended how countless the stars are. And then God was bringing his attention to something he was already familiar with, and that already impressed him, and particularly with the clockwork precision of it, and that God directed it all. And that's what Abraham is noted for, of noticing the precision of the celestial heavens too. And so God used that to remind him of his promise, that he was faithful, and that the Messiah would come through his line. And then we're reminded of when Abraham told Isaac again, God shall provide himself a lamb. He was familiar with the story. He was familiar with what the heavens declared, and no doubt many an evening he stood out under the sky just comprehending the story of what was declared in the heavens and what would be coming prophetically. And it's just interesting to ponder about Abraham, who knew the celestial heavens and no doubt had an idea of what the heavens declare along the ecliptic and their particular sections in the different chambers of the south. But even he did not know the details of how those would be fulfilled. He would know that God would one day provide himself a lamb who would be the Redeemer. He did not know the details of how that would be accomplished through his line, though, or his seed, but he knew the promise. And there's a lot of things we don't know. But we can go outside and we can look at the heavens and we could see who has it all in control, and we leave the details in his hands. But we remind ourselves of the promises that he has given us, that he is coming a second time. And we can look at the same lamb that Abraham looked at, and Jacob, and Judah, and Joseph. We can look at them all and be reminded of the same promises. And the same one who is faithful to fulfill those promises will be faithful even in our time as well. You know, I'm reminded of Job, who was a contemporary of Abraham. And he was familiar with the heavens particularly, and God specifically drew his attention to Orion and Pleiades and Arcturus, and all those stars. And the book of Job tells us that there were a lot of things that Job wanted to know, things he did not know. And particularly when God worked different events in his life that he did not understand either, he still knew who made and who directs the heavens. And the same one who made the heavens, our Creator, and who guides all the stars on their paths, can direct our path too as well. And he gives wisdom and instruction as we need it. We go forward in faith like Job, and like Abraham. We don't have to have the full picture, but we can remind it that he is faithful, and he has it all in control. And so we will rest in his promises, and we will look up and be reminded of our Creator, of his control, of his promises, and his story of redemption, a story which we play a part in and we're part of. And that's just amazing to consider, that we're part of the story that the heavens declare. Even though we are all in our different places around the world, we all look up at the same sky. We all look up at the same stars. We all look up at the same story. It's all the same creation. And we are reminded that we are part of creation. And what is man that God is mindful of us? God called Abraham to look up. He called Job to look up. David looked up. Our Redeemer has called us to look up too, because that reminds us of who we are, and reminds us of who he is and what he has done for us. And so again, I want to encourage you to definitely go outside, spend some time, and just look up. And spend some time with the Lord, reflecting on his creation and his wonderful story of redemption. Because he wants us to look up. He wants us to lift up our heads. And we will see and we will think about how our redemption draweth nigh. So until next time, Maranatha.